Hey guys, back in a hotel room, back in New York doing Sunday Night Baseball tonight, but I had an idea for a new series of sorts or a new type of video that I can do here on the channel that is a little bit quicker, more topical, or what's going on in the game right now. So today we're going to talk about Jesus Luzardo tipping and what I think might have happened in his most recent blow up. Before we get into that though, make sure you go subscribe to this channel. Make sure if you are interested and you want additional written and video content and maybe even some audio content, follow along with all the other projects I got going on. Go to IamTrevorMay.com. That is my Substack. It is free to subscribe to, but if you choose to be a paid subscriber, you get a direct line to me via DMs where I'm going to be doing some Q&A videos using the best questions. And we have new merch over at Mayday.show, commemorating my road to trying to throw 100 with Trevor Throws Cheese. So go check that stuff out if you're interested in it. Jesus Luzardo has what we call a roller coaster of a season. Pretty high peaks, but also some pretty deep valleys where things got hairy and things got hairy quickly. Recently, I saw a video of a camera angle from the side of Romy Gonzalez's grand slam he has in the 5th inning of this game, where Alex Cora is on the top step of the dugout in the background, seemingly calling the pitch that is coming. This has had the internet running wild, thinking that there's conspiracy, or they're cheating, or he's tipping pitches, or a combination of those things. After looking into it, there is some really interesting things that Jesus did do during this outing. Now, when you yourself suspect that you are tipping or somebody else suspects that you're tipping, there's usually a checklist of things that are most common tips that pitchers do. It's a very emotional kind of job. Like you build up emotions to throwing each pitch, and so adrenaline can take over, and you can start to do little deviations in your motion for certain situations or certain pitches and not be aware of it because you're so, keyed up on adrenaline, which is necessary to do this work. So sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody else watching you. So if I were watching for Jesus, he said, I think I'm tipping. The first thing I would check is how his hands are moving. That's where grips are being changed. That's where digging or not digging or tapping. There's all these little timing mechanisms that is the number one thing that deviates from anything else. One is distance between your hands and your body. Hitters can see changes in light between, so they don't watch the hands themselves. They have a frame of reference being your body, and if that gets wider on certain pitches or not, that can be really telling. Same thing as closing or opening the glove, digging in the glove to get a tighter grip. That could be a curveball. There's a lot of specific movements you have to do to get a grip that work for some pitches and not for others. It could be the speed of your delivery. You go really fast in your windup on changeups, for example, which is something that Chris Sale did earlier in his career, and then be much slower and smoother on fastballs. Those are all things that you look at first, and then you try to dial it in from there. So I went and looked at Jesus, and he does a few things that could become tips, and I think he's very aware of it. So we're going to hop into True Media, watch the video, and see if you can see what I see. What I want you to watch is just how he taps his glove every time he goes into the windup. It's always a tap. The ball comes out of his glove a certain distance, which if he goes too far, you can see the ball, which is not what you want. It seems like he's been pretty good at keeping the ball hidden behind the glove, even if he is tapping. It works fairly well, especially out of the windup for this outing, because he goes 4 innings and he only allows 1 hitter on base. And not only is he throwing well, pretty dominant. He's getting tons of swings and misses. He is just devastating lefties with his sinker, getting soft ground balls like this, or just throwing the sweeper and getting guys to chase it, into the other's batter's box. That tells me that they aren't seeing anything abnormal between those two pitches. That's a great thing. He's dialed in if he's out of the windup. Where it changes, however, is in the top of the 5th. He has Yoshida coming up. The sinker in, which Yoshida goes up and gets off the plate and hits it for a double. He just put a good swing on it and got it into the corner. Now you're going to notice one thing here. There is someone on second base. Not only has Luzardo not thrown a lot of pitches out of the stretch, he hasn't thrown any pitches with somebody on second. Now, we looked at the glove earlier. We looked at how he tapped. When he taps, or when he brings the ball out of the glove, it is starkly obvious what he's throwing to a runner on second base. Now, we have PitchCom now. It's clear that Luzardo is using PitchCom. There's no signs happening, so no one's looking in on the catcher, and nobody is picking up on a sign set and relaying it home. That is not happening. The reason that was the best way to do that in the past was, once you pick up on the sign, you have a period of time between him getting his sign and throwing a pitch to relay the sign. So you could give the pitch before the delivery started so the hitter could have a good idea before. They were way more prepared. In this situation, because there are no signs, they're going to have to pick up on the grip coming out of the glove. That gives way less time to relay a sign. So watch. Right here in this next pitch, right there is where the sign would have to be relayed in order for him to be tipping with his hand coming out of his glove. So far, that's all there really is to go on. That's the only time they can see his pitches. Now, they are distinct. You can see the changeup grip, obviously, when he taps it. You can see the sweeper specifically because he is spiking it, so he has a knuckle like sticking out of the back of the glove. Problem is, the guy in second only has literally half a second to relay a sign, and then the hitter has to act on a pitch as it's literally being released. Like, he has to look at the base runner and then look back at the pitcher in a split second and be able to hit that way. Hard enough. There's no way that's what was happening. Or you would think, unless the Red Sox had a very ingenious system for relaying those signs, a hitter doesn't need to actually look directly at. They can just see it out of the peripheral vision, and I think I found it. The Sox definitely knew that Luzardo shows his pitches, and that had been relayed to the guy on second, and they were doing it with their secondary lead. Watch this. Watch Yoshida down here, how he takes his secondary lead. So this is Rafaela right after. Watch Yoshida. Sweeper, he does a couple hops. So we get a sweeper. Yoshida, 2 hops in a secondary lead. Another pitch, sweeper. We see these same hops right there. Okay, 2-0. Then we go with the changeup. Yoshida, hops, but it looks a little different. It looks a little lower. Not a ton to go on there, but I did distinctly see some different types of movements there. So now we have first and second. So let's see what he does with Abreu here, who actually has to 3-pitch strikeout. Big hop. Again, it's like a big hop and then a short hop right after it. Big hop, little late though, and Abreu was like, didn't see like he was fully in on it. And then we get another big hop, but it was a little bit late. And also, maybe it's a little bit hard for a lefty to see because of the angle. Yoshida wasn't really telling the pitches very early right there, and it's hard to do, especially if you're not used to it. So, no definitive evidence yet, but trust me, it's coming. There's Rafaela. There's that high hop again. It's a sweeper again. Low hop, changeup. So we have high hop, sweeper, low hop, changeup. We don't have anything for fastball yet. We'll see if anything rears its head. Now that one was obvious. That was a definite like bounce, pop up in the air. And now all of this is very interesting too, because if you look really closely here, Rafaela, his head looks like he is leaning just to see what the pitch is. Ref Snyder looks right at Rafaela. They make eye contact. Now, another walk. Walks in a run. I think he's very clearly worried about it, worried about tipping. So now we have Marcelo Meyer on second. Big hop, sweeper. Low hop, sinker. The one interesting thing I'm seeing out of these two guys is, especially the last two guys, they're young, they're rookies or only been up for a couple years, and they were just calling whether or not it was a sweeper or not. Now, Luzardo's best pitch is a sweeper. You can be, if you're ready for breaking ball, you know that everything else is probably straight, either it's a fastball or a changeup, and Meyer doesn't seem to be doing anything special for fastball, but he is doing something special for breaking balls, and it's pretty obvious. So I think they had it. I think the high hop was the thing that they all were going with, and the young guys just weren't as confident with the other two pitches, but it seemed like Yoshida might have been. This is going to be the interesting AB. This is Romy Gonzalez, and he ends up taking him deep. But let's watch this AB and see if there's anything there. We got changeup. Ref Snyder stays low, says changeup. We didn't see a high pop out of him. Stayed low again. Fastball. Bang. Now, that could have been a combination of only throwing 2 different pitches to him. I was trying to stay away from the sweeper, but he was never tipped it either. And he just happened to get the perfect one in the perfect place. Now, that was the pitch that I saw the Alex Cora video on, and they had a pretty good idea how he was going to be pitched, Romy, because he is notoriously a left killer. He's one of the best right-on left hitters in the league, actually. And it was just a good matchup for him from the beginning. But then if you're able to eliminate pitches, we saw how he swung at that first pitch. He's right on a changeup below the zone, which is just not what happens when he got those 97, 98 with fastball. And what I think, if they were able to eliminate the sweeper, they were able to pigeonhole him into very specific pitches and very specific places. Sweeper is the pitch that he throws so much and has thrown all over the zone and has gotten lefties and righties out with it. If you're able to eliminate pitch, you're able to put up a big inning, which they did. 4 walks in the inning, 2 hits, and 5 runs. So in conclusion, I think 1, he lost his command because he was worried about that dynamic, them being able to tip his pitch to home plate. I think Jesus Luzardo knew that it was a chance that it would happen, and that got him off his game a little bit. That's already mind games without having to do anything. Now your command's suffering. Then they actually do have one of your pitches, at least your breaking ball, which is your best pitch. So if you know that they know that, and there's nothing you can change in real time, just getting rid of your tap randomly in the middle of an inning is next to impossible. Like, you can't, it's a timing mechanism, throws all your timing off. So making this this adjustment in the middle of the inning is very hard to do, and it needs to come down to, you start playing 4D chess, you are operating with them knowing what pitch you have. It's almost like tip the wrong thing on purpose. If you can do that a couple times and get them a little bit hesitant or some confusion about, that's much easier said than done. I think it comes down to Luzardo needs to figure out a way to hide that tip, whether it's a massive glove or if it's just a way to stop tapping in that way, or turning his glove in a different way. But this is going to continue to be abused because they saw what the Red Sox could do in one inning after getting dominated for 4. Any other team picks up on it is something he's going to have to change quickly.